everybody. How you doing? Awesome. My name is Michelle Antoinette Nelson, also known as Love the Poet, and that's why my website is lovethepoet.com. I am, as Martha said, I am a poet. I am a guitarist. I am a photographer. I'm an all-around artist. I'm a full-time artist. This is how I make my living. And I travel the country doing so, touring with various different troupes. And I just recently wrote a one-woman play called God's Country, which is also touring. And we're here talking about the next chapter and what and how to get there. And one day I decided, I just sat down and I thought, I have a degree in criminal justice. And you're like, what? Yes, I have a degree in criminal justice from Coppin State, then college, now university. And I sat down and I thought about how I got here. How did I end up as a full-time artist, not really utilizing my degree too much? I did deal in my career. I worked with at-risk youth for about 9 years before I decided to jump ship and do this. I do teach sometimes children poetry, but I mostly teach adult poetry. Do individual artist development classes and poetry classes, sometimes in major groups and workshops for adults mainly. But I thought about it, I said, how did I get here? And I realized that I have trained my entire life for this. The first talent show that I entered, I was 6 years old. I had a Casio Muppet keyboard. It was light blue, yellow buttons. I'll never forget it, loved it. I went in, and I don't know how cruel this was to have kindergartners actually audition. But they did, and it was like an audition in front of your peers too. So a room full of 6-year-olds and you're auditioning to be in this talent show. I played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I did not get into the talent show. My heart was broken. It wasn't until I did an event called The Healing Space that I remembered this, and that I actually even teared up a little bit because it hurt my feelings. I got, you know, 2 girls who ended up actually being like my best friends for like the next 12 years of my life. They laughed, you know, they laughed at me, and it hurt. But that was the one step. A few years later, we're all doing it, making up dances in backyards and preparing for the 4th and 5th grade talent show because we're in it and we're doing it. But the moments like that make me remember that in my artist world, I prepared for this. A lot of the things I do, I have to multitask and do a lot of things at the same time. I run my own website, I run my own, I book my own events, I run my own events. I run an event called Be Free Fridays, which is 8 years old this month, and it goes on at the UB Blake Center. So I do a lot of various different things all at once, and I'm like, how do I do this? Well, in high school, I ran track, was the president of SGA, the captain of the track team. You know, by the time I graduated, vice president of the BSU. I never had time for anything, not even friends. I just, you know, went to school, went to practice, went home, talked on the phone, did my homework, talked on the phone, did my homework, watched some Star Trek, went to sleep. I'm a Trekkie. So, yeah. So these are the things that I realized that I've trained my whole life for this. And when you think about, and then I realized another thing, that I cannot be stopped, no matter what. I've hit a lot of bumps in the road, but I cannot be stopped. And so I cannot be stopped. And the reason why is I've trained my whole life for this, for what I'm doing right now and for the next chapter. And that's what I want to bring to you guys, the idea that you cannot be stopped because you trained your whole life for whatever it is you're doing or whatever it is you're thinking about leaving your job to do. When people lose their jobs, I tell them congratulations. Congratulations. Now you're freed up to work just as hard for yourself as you do for anybody else. So, thumbs up to you. It's a huge leap. It's scary. Whatever it is you're about to do, it's going to be a little nerve-wracking. But if you realize that you cannot be stopped because something you did, whatever it was, when you went to the baseball game and you you had to take the score or something. That's something that is going to be a skill for you later. You just haven't figured it out yet. So everything that you've done leads you to that. So right now, what I want you guys to do is just raise your hands up for me. Raise your hands up. Raise them up. Raise them up. This gets interactive. I'm a poet. Raise them up, and I want you to repeat after me. I cannot be stopped.
I cannot be stopped.
Because I trained my whole life for this.
Because I trained my whole life for this.
Next chapter.
Next chapter.
See, this is amazing. To watch hands raising high for words that light up even the darkest of skies. Brings glimmers of hope to the saddest of eyes, those who know inner city darkness. Those in universities who know inner misery and falseness, trying to live up to everyone's expectations. This is life-changing. Poetically speaking for those seeking a new way, saying the same thing their mamas beat them over the head with every day, but consider this confirmation. A spoonful of sugar to help you take your medicine for hasty decisions that go the wrong way. So have faith like Mary when God pops in, but do not be wary because he is always watching. So be at the beat, meet in the streets where converse and concrete meet conversing with ice creams are where we've been. Leaving footprints in the cement because he carries us through the sand, never to be beached as whales, be walking to talk through whales, being the things that ail. We as a people marathon your life goals because they are reachable. With endurance, it's simple. So charge up your iPod. Reverse the curse of the apple. Make it in the Snapple and drink while you listen. Bop while you walk and stop to do some dance and teach someone something. Smile and embrace them, even if it's just by speaking. Words touched past the skin, they keep hearts beating. And you make your own music. You determine when the strings come in, when you play the hearts of the people you're acknowledging. Dance, people, like children. It's so refreshing. Eat of this bread, dance like David, to words are spoken, art is for you. Don't hesitate, this is your day. Tomorrow's not promised even to you. So that's a little something. So the next thing I thought about was what I had to go through to get where I am. I am a woman, I am black, and I am a lesbian. I am openly gay. I talk about it in my work, and I've written about it. It is in my book. It is a through line for one of the very many reasons I did the piece God's Country. In that play, it's a one-woman play. I play 8 different characters, and it takes place in a Bible study. So, and you can learn a little bit more. There's actually a video on it on my website that shows you a little bit about that. But those are the 3 things in my life that, for one reason or another, whenever I wake up, I have to deal with. These are not things that I regret, take back, and there's nothing I can do about any of it. I just have to live and be who I am. And one of the things I realized that I have dealt with, not just from myself, but from other people and family members, is judgment. Anybody in here ever felt like, you know, judged a little bit? Somebody didn't, your parents don't agree with something you did, ever? Everybody should be raising their hands, you know, gone through it at some point in your life. So this is a piece that I wrote entitled Judgment. It discusses a conversation I had with my father. And I love my dad. We're peas in a pod, same person almost, and this is why we're always doing like this. But I love this dude, just so you know. We're okay. Here we go. I have nothing but goodness in my chest. And as sure as my heart beats in my left breast, I sleep without rest. Because my family don't embrace my goodness, we digress. While every year continues to progress and I begin to love this person of the same sex, limitless, I'm depressed. Because whenever I discuss my love's diligence, I see my daddy's heartbreak with disgust, disappointment, with prayers of a holy water-based ointment to relieve me of this sickness. He deems the people like me wicked. Thinks that someone defiled his child's pureness, says that my sexuality will be the double death of me, and my ministry, minuscule, until I go into the churches and be the preacher's tool to fool every person in the pew. All 3 overflow rooms and even the deacons in the vestibule, convincing them that I am a blessed poet. And not because my words show it, and not because my walk swim with a humble bop to it, but because I don't sin. I don't sleep tormented by the likes of him, yeah, because I like men. So just call me Mrs. Johnson. Hear my words echo off of the chapel ceilings like who I am sleeping with is any of their business, regardless of the fact that me and my woman don't even have to touch hands and I would still be indulging in the sweetness of her spirit. He says confess, so God hears it. repent so that your light will be brighter lit. And last time I checked, God don't give illumination in wattage, so if I shine, it's because he saw fit. Regardless of the sentiment in the pulpit, and I'm so steeped in subliminal sadness, I spark spliffs, herb sift the seedless, fold, lick, roll, sit, inhale a bit for an uplift out of the darkness of your well intent. Keep that shit. Because real non-judgment don't have a disclaimer on it. Just a genuine smile and a hug. And more time spent with my family would mean less with a dub, but they don't want to be involved with my modern day leprosy. Like these stains on my record reflect my life's integrity, but these stains really only exist because they can't see nothing but dirt on me. So I choose to peruse schools of thought that perceive me cleanly. I run from the Christian who is a slave trying to free me. The opinion of a church meeting ain't particularly appealing because God said things, yes. And Jesus surely came. But the high priest passes and others ordained leave my people drained, feeling like they ain't nothing. And while they're waiting for the second coming, they forget that Jesus bear the scars and the cross on his back so we could be godly just like that. Not to worship his abilities, but to act as he acts and not to crucify your children because they don't subscribe to your facts. But my depression is not your problem. And my happiness is not your trauma. So I exist in the throes of insomnia because my family, minus my mom and some, can't understand that the way I live and who I love has nothing to do with them. I have this book, Black Marks on White Paper, and do I have time for two more or just one? I'm good? Okay. I wrote this book. I published this book. It is in Busboys and Poets in DC. It is in Red Emma's here in Baltimore. And it is available online. I actually need to get more of them, which is a good problem, I guess. But I did write this book. And the next thing that I thought about as far as not being able to be stopped and how how can I get that across by, I wanted to ask a question. And a lot of the things that I think about, I forget that I've already written about them. If that makes sense, I've already written a lot of it into existence. And so when I was sitting here thinking about it for you guys, I was like, how can I get this across? When you sit and you start to think about what are you willing to go through to get to the next place? What have you gone through? What have you learned? How long will it take you to learn your lesson again? You know what I mean? Because we learn the lessons, and then because in our lives you cycle. There's cycles. And the only way any cycle that you go through can be broken is when you decide to break them. Okay? So if you ever wonder why this is happening again, because you've positioned yourself again to be in the same place with different people. Because that's what you're used to. We gravitate to what we know. But the only way to break this cycle is to realize it's one and to break it. And the pace in which you break it, you can celebrate. Oh, it didn't take me a year this time. I did it in a month. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's accomplishment. And then before you know it, you'll see it before it's coming and go, ooh. I see that's coming. I know that. I know what it looks like. I know what it smells like. I know what it feels like. You are not good for me. Let me go this way. So you'll get to that point, but you have to ask yourself, what have you been through? And what are you willing to endure to get to the next level, when another cycle shows up and you have to go get through that. So this is called Have You Ever Been? What took you to the cross? Have you ever been? Have you walked through a hurricane just to feel the wind? Have you given yourself to chaos just to feel its toss? Just to know that you could make it if it grabbed you out of your thoughts and you didn't ask for the interference, for the frost, the fuzzy white dots, the screen like that of pane windows, HD lost, stitching clear, see every box, feel whatever seeps through the holes that held your precious, your hopes, your dreams. Have you ever watched them seep intentionally just to pick them up? Each piece and resurrect them with new parts and love without your heart, just your memories. Only seen within your mind's eye. Have you ever looked at the roller coaster and wanted to be strapped to the side of the ride, knowing that in the midst you are surely going to die, but nothing will be better than diving inside the skies just because it's brave? Others think you're crazed, but you love the cross you made. So you ride it till the wheels fall off and do not fear the day that your journey screeches over. Because you know it was your lover and you treated it like a queen. That your loyalty to its royalty made your sacrifice everything. Lay your frame against its grain and adhere yourself at ease. Arms stretched beyond sane to grab at its madness. To look back upon your time travel with an unforeseen gladness that was born out of labor pains and nothing deemed the norm. What took you to the cross? What have you endured? And so I want to leave you guys with this piece. It is a piece that highlights one of the moments when I realized it was time to be different, do different, and to grow. It's entitled The Chrysalis. Does anybody know what a chrysalis is? Yeah? Well, I didn't. My 5-year-old niece at the time, she's 12 now, 5'5", looking over her auntie. And she looked at me. We were outside in my father's yard at 5 years old, little thing. And there was a tree, and there's a caterpillar on the tree. And she said, I said, oh, look, Taylor, it's a caterpillar. And she looked at me and said, well, where's the chrysalis? What? The what? She said, you know, a caterpillar goes into the chrysalis, becomes a butterfly. Now, me thinking, I grew up in Howard County. I'm a Columbia girl, and I'm thinking I know stuff. You know what I mean? She's like, I thought the butterfly came from a cocoon. So I had to look it up. And I realized that moths come from cocoons, butterflies come from this chrysalis. So I named the album that I released, The Chrysalis, for my niece. And I wrote this poem because it just made sense. The chrysalis, I'm spun into this in time infinite. I'm reborn again, a new form I'm in. My second life begins. Knowledge flies, my friends, I'll never walk again. I was born from a womb that should have been my tomb, but I was still born. Defying the fate of the stillborn, I rose warm with a heart worn from pumping with no oxygen, but I breathed again. And the world was in forewarned of the woman whose spirit would rise again after a quarter of her life she's in. See, I've been taken to the top of the mountain, short of breath, wheezing, but I found solace in my chest, weakening this world bleak to me, but I enlighten them who be listening with ears peaked for free, to be released from those who preach slavery, abrupt bravery, they tar and feather me. They occult my thoughts, rebuke creativity, rewrite history, repeat my sound bites in mockery. You're bellowing bold and badly be frequently. You can't speak on this frequency, but I've been posturing. This is not my body. Take shots at me. Blast destiny with a 12-gauge shotty. Death don't extinguish energy. This flesh is not reality. So I capture scenes that aren't hindering from memories that will resurrect me. So Mount of Moses, I die on thee. Mirroring your commandments, I touch your spirit, leaving my 10 fingerprints. This is deliverance. The chrysalis, I'm spun into this in time infinite. I'm reborn again, a new form I'm in. My second life begins. Now let's flies, my friends. I'll never walk again. See, the emergence will be miraculous. But for now, I bow in darkness, harnessed in the protection of my Lord. God of the spoken word, he molds me into new form, so I sit quietly, unbattered, unbruised, unscorned, unblocked, unlocked, never performed, ready to learn to speak life, to inform, and unsure what darkness feels like, because my light keeps me warm. So once ready, I breathe heavy and stretch my arms, shatter sound barriers when I yawn, my former existence gone. So I remix, reinvent super chickenness. I wasn't meant to let my inner wings lay dormant, so I scratch the rhythm I'm rocking. I am turntablist turning, DJing, playing the new tune that I'm in, and I wasn't meant to be a little human, so I mastered these poems. And no need for jewelry shine and language be my adornment, and brilliantly I wear it. The need for imagery, apparent. So I form this chrysalis, cocoon-like, but I rise from it as a butterfly, not moth to light and flames I refrain from. Even in the dead of the night, I will take flight. These wings bloom from thought. I'm too agile to be caught, so keep your palms shut and you're watching your watch. For what? Time is infinite and it can't be clocked, so stop. And patience be all, so marvel as I sprawl aerial at the feet of you to build the righteous... Marvel as I sprawl aerial at the feet of you. I'm sorry, y'all. This is why you have a table of contents and a book. And patience be all, so marvel as I sprawl, aerial no longer at the feet of you, and I build the spirit true to the righteous few who know what reformation really do. And I renew, fly amidst the crew with the bird's eye view, flocking together in plain sight, nature, powerful, inject, colorful, reveal, wonderful. But it's oh so woeful that to the powerless yet hopeful I appear as an insect. Simple, blind faith cripples, so open your eyes. Know that God is everywhere, even in your soul. You are not a weak sinner, you are a powerful life giver. So I embrace my potential until the chrysalis becomes invisible, and a new creature with the wisdom of a teacher your eyes behold. And ignorance will keep me shackled, so I refuse to be owned, and by being in the know these wings unfold. So if ever my life is fabled, let it be told that I marched up a stack of journals plated in gold, wrote myself into myself until I became a ball, then spoke each line of rhyme until these walls began to fall, stood upon the stage of life and said this message to you all. An artist must live a do beyond many human laws. Say or write the hardest things no one else ever saw. Speak in octaves your ears may never hear, ever growing, always changing, placing courage before fear. And ignorance be our bliss. So I am no longer happy here. This is the day Love the poet disappeared, the chrysalis. I'm spun into this, in time infinite. I'm reborn again, a new form I'm in. My second life begins. Knowledge flies, my friends. I will never walk again. Thank you.